Hey everybody, Allie here from TurningPointCT.org, Connecticut's online community resource for young adults and adolescents, and I am here to tell you about how I'm celebrating Recovery Month this year. September is National Recovery Month for those who don't know, and to give you a little background, I am in recovery myself, and I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary, and I couldn't be more grateful for how my life has unfolded and become so much better thanks to recovery. This month I'm noticing that there's tons of walks going on and a lot of organizations are getting together to combat this disease and show people that people do recover and that they do well in recovery. And I think it's a great way to break down the stigma and discrimination that comes along with recovery and addiction. I grew up in Fairfield and I started experimenting with drugs at a young age, with marijuana and alcohol in middle school. And by high school, my addiction progressed and I ended up doing narcotics such as Percocet and Xanax, and it got a hold of me, and by 19 I had gone to heroin. Heroin had taken me to places that I never expected to ever be. I ended up homeless and have a lot of run-ins with the law, and I became a convicted felon at the age of 22. I went to prison and I served time at York Correctional Institution, and I never expected myself to be in that position where I was broken, miserable, and I really didn't think that there was any hope. I had gotten out of prison and I started to do well, and in recovery they tell you to change people, places, and things. And I went to one old place with one old person and I did one old thing, and before I knew it I ended up relapsing that same night. I had a relapse that lasted for about 4 months, and in that 4 months I really got into a deep depression, and I never thought that I was ever going to make it out of this disease. I thought that addiction was going to hold me forever and that I was never going to beat it and I was never going to make it. And I really think that it's hard for people who are using and they hit a point in their life where they really just have no hope and they don't believe that they're ever going to make it out. And I was definitely stuck in that. I remember having a day where I just couldn't take it anymore. I went through something that had brought me into such a deep depression, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to let this take over me. I'm going to give it one more shot. I'm going to give recovery one more chance. And that's what I did. I ended up going into a detox and an outpatient afterwards, and I started to get involved in the community. I wanted to show that people can recover, and all the people that I knew that were dying from this disease and the families that were being left behind, I wanted to show that people can make it and that you can thrive in recovery. So I became a recovery coach. I started to get involved in the communities that were really just trying to break the stigma of addiction, and I started to go public with my story and raise awareness to the fact that you can go through something hard and you can absolutely get through it. So I started to speak to schools, I started to speak to rehabs and other facilities that were related to drug addiction, and I started to kind of just share my experience, my strength, and my hope. And I ended up getting a job at TurningPointCT.org as a blogger to write about what I go through and how my addiction was compared to how it is now. And it really took me places that I never thought I would go. Just like when I was in my drug addiction, I never thought that I would end up in prison or homeless or living in the street, but in recovery, I never thought that I would end up having a great job and great friends, and that's exactly what it brought me. I found my recovery through my faith, and my addiction ministry at my church really just brought me to a whole new level of hope and faith. And I started to surround myself with people that were positive and uplifting, and I started to work in places that were based on recovery and, helping other people get through this disease and get through their addiction. And I never thought that I would go back to my old ways, and I started to see that people around me were starting to go right back into that. So instead of falling into it again, I decided to help get them out of it. And that really kind of sparked an interest in me of wanting to get back into the corrections. I wanted to be able to go back and help people that were locked up because of their addiction and show them that when they get out, they can stay sober and that they don't have to go back to the lifestyle that they had been in. And so I started to get in touch with people that were getting out of prison, and I started to coach them and help them get through their recovery. So recovery has opened up a world for me. I'm now in school for the DARK program, the drug and alcohol education in Gateway Community College, and I am so excited to be having this opportunity. I have my ID right here because I'm just so excited, and it really just is incredible to hold this ID of a college student when just a few years ago I held an ID of an inmate. I am property of a college where I used to be property of the state. I'm labeled as a student where I was once labeled as an inmate. And now I'm pursuing a career in the recovery field and get that degree that addiction had stolen from me when I used to be in school, when I was using. And I really just feel like this month is a wonderful month. It's a great start to school year. It's a way to just show that people do recover and put that positive face on addiction and recovery, and just show that you can make it, you can get through it. You know, addiction tries to tell me every day that you're never going to make it, and anything that you try to do, you're going to fail, and you're never going to forgive that person, or you're never going to be able to make it. And recovery tells me completely different. You know, I am told by recovery that you can make it, and you can forgive that person, and you can get through it, and whatever you put your mind to, you can absolutely do it. And I am living proof that recovery works. I am so grateful for all the opportunities that have come to me thanks to being open about my recovery and my addiction story. And I'm really just here to tell you guys how I'm celebrating and how I am just so grateful to be alive today, to be happy, and to be in recovery. Definitely going to post this on our website, so I would love for you guys to come on the forum and just tell me how you're celebrating this month, what you're doing to help someone else celebrate this month, and just kind of what your thoughts are of addiction, recovery, and how they're recognizing it this month. I would love to hear your ideas, and to all my recovery people out there, congratulations, and keep on celebrating recovery.